Today we're digging into the sources behind not just a production team, but a pair of sonic architects who totally redefined what pop music could even sound like. We're getting into the blueprint of the Neptunes.
Yeah.
Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo.
Oh, architects is absolutely the right word. They weren't just participating in the music industry. They pretty much created the whole atmosphere of the late 90s and really the entire 2000s.
Right.
Their genius was proving this really radical idea.
Yeah.
That subtraction could equal addition, that you could build these massive hits out of almost nothing.
And that paradox is so key, isn't it? The most common description you read about their sound is that it was empty, but somehow full. Minimal, but at the same time, completely alien and massive. They were taking these huge risks when everyone else wanted, density and safety. Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's unpack that risk.
We have to, because to really get the sound, you have to go back to where the spark met the science.
And that story starts way outside the usual music hubs. We're talking Virginia Beach. Pharrell and Chad, they actually met at Princess Anne High School at a summer band camp. They just sort of found each other, and their roles fell into place almost immediately.
Exactly. One of their teachers later had this quote that just perfectly sums up their whole dynamic. He said, Pharrell was the spark, Chad was the science.
I love that.
And it's so true. Pharrell was the drummer, the keyboard player. He was the charismatic idea guy, the rhythm. Chad was the quiet one. The multi-instrumentalist sources say his specialty was actually in woodwinds, of all things. He was the one focused on texture and harmony.
And before they were this legendary production duo, they were actually in a teen R&B group that was also called the Neptunes. That included Shay Haley and Mike Etheridge, too. But, their whole path changed when they got discovered by a true legend.
A huge legend, Teddy Riley. This is the man they call the king of New Jack Swing.
Yeah.
That super smooth, synthesized mix of R&B and hip-hop that was just everywhere in the late 80s and early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And he moves his studio right there to Virginia Beach. He hears their demos and just signs them on the spot. That was their way in.
And even before they had their own sound, Pharrell had this huge moment that just shows his raw talent. While he's still a teenager, this is 1992, he co-writes the hit Rump Shaker for Rexanne-Effect.
And the notes on that are amazing. He didn't just co-write it. He actually played the drums on the track and wrote Teddy Riley's verse. That's just incredible for a kid barely out of high school who's still learning the ropes.
So, okay, Teddy Riley opens the door for them. Mm-hmm. But when did they stop sounding like, his disciples and actually find that signature Neptune sound?
That switch really flips between 1998 and 1999. Their sound just becomes, the sources describe it as cold, alien, and sparse. It was a total rejection of the thick, sample-heavy stuff that was all over hip-hop at the time.
And 1999 brings the two tracks that really announced this new, weird sound to the entire world. We're talking about Super Thug by N.O.R.E. and, of course, Got Your Money by Old Dirty Bastard and Keyless.
Super Thug is the one. That's the masterpiece that changed everything. If you really listen to it, it's all about these sharp synthetic claps, a really rubbery-sounding synth bass, and then this is the crucial part for entire bars of empty space. Just nothing.
4 bars of silence.
Right before the verse kicks in. Producers just did not do that. They didn't leave these giant holes in their beats. It felt commercially reckless.
And that emptiness was completely revolutionary. We had that amazing quote from Kanye West about that track. He said, "That beat showed me you could be weird and still make a hit. It just gave everyone permission to take a huge creative risk."
And they took that philosophy and just ran with it for 5 years of it. Just pure chart domination. From 2000 to 2005, the Neptunes were the sound of pop culture. And what's fascinating here is that you can actually break down their success into 5 signature elements, 5 pillars.
Okay, let's get into the blueprint, the 5 pillars of the Neptune fingerprint. So first up has to be that minimalism.
Yeah, that's number 1, the intentional use of negative space. They'd leave these huge gaps between the drums and the synths. And at the time, every other producer was trying to fill every single millisecond with sound. Just layers and layers. The Neptunes did the exact opposite. And somehow, that scarcity made their tracks sound enormous. You couldn't ignore them.
But I have to push on that a little. Leaving huge chunks of silence, That just sounds like commercial suicide in 1999.
Mhm.
Did the labels or the artists push back on that? Did they want a fuller sound?
Oh, they absolutely did. The sources are clear on this. Early on, artists would complain the beats felt unfinished, felt empty, but the genius was their confidence. They basically argued that the artist's voice and your imagination as the listener, that's what was supposed to fill those pockets. They were selling rhythm, not saturation.
That makes sense. Okay, pillar number 2. Their unique drum tones. The kicks were so dry, the claps are incredibly snappy, and those snares. Everyone says they sound like rubber bands.
They cut right through the radio mix instantly. Which brings us to pillar 3, the synth choices. And this was really Chad's territory. He was a master of these odd textures. He used toy synths, those funky clavinet-like sounds, and these really high-pitched leads that sounded just like laser beams.
And number 4 has to be Pharrell's melodic sense. His falsetto, those little ad-libs he does,
Yeah.
they're not just background vocals. They became part of the beat itself. He was adding this human warmth to what was, like you said, a very alien, cold soundscape that Chad was building.
Exactly. And the 5th and final pillar is chords that don't behave. Their harmonies were just not typical for R&B or hip-hop. They used these unexpected shifts, these suspended chords. It's more of a jazz thing, really. It creates this tension, this feeling that you're waiting for something to resolve.
And the real power of these 5 pillars is how they use them to just dominate across all genres,
Yeah.
often by breaking the rules of each one.
Oh yeah, take pop reinvention. In 2001, they get a hold of Britney Spears, pull her away from that Max Martin bubblegum machine, and give her I'm a Slave for You. They made a massive pop hit using Timbole-style percussion, like Latin drumming, and almost zero chord changes in the verse.
It just brought this sweat and humidity to pop radio.
It really did. And then for the Hip Hop Foundation, you look at JayZ's I Just Wanna Love You, Give It To... JayZ himself said that beat made him rethink the whole album. You can just hear it, that dancing bass line, the woozy synths, and those huge empty pockets.
But the craziest example, the most audacious track, has got to be Snoop Dogg's Drop It Like It's Hot. That went to number 1 in 2004.
It's the absolute peak of their whole philosophy. It hits number 1 with no traditional bass line at all.
Wait, so they got Snoop Dogg to the top of the charts with tongue clicks. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like a brilliant joke that actually worked.
It is. It just proves that for them, rhythm was always more important than melody. The percussion is just pure invention. Those tongue clicks, the little piano staffs, it completely redefined what a hit single could be.
And you can't forget their R&B funk fusion, like Nelly's Hot in Hair in 2002. That whole thing was built on a Chuck Brown go-go loop.
That DC funk sound, yeah. And they layered it with these gritty drums and those call and response horns. Just so infectious.
And finally, they were responsible for launching pop careers.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Timberlake's entire solo career was basically launched by the Neptunes snap. Like, I Love You, Senorita. It's all there. The acoustic guitar, the dancing bass, those dry drums.
Absolutely. So as their influence just exploded, they formalized it all. They launched Star Trek Entertainment in 2001.
Right.
And that became the home for artists they were really championing, like Keyless and Robin Thicke. But it was also the home for their own band, N.O.R.E. with Shay Haley. N.O.R.E. was their creative playground. It's where they got to just fuse everything: rock, funk, R&B, punk energy. You hear it all in albums like In Search Of and Fly or Die.
Then by the 2010s, you start to see a shift. They enter more of a solo phase, and Pharrell in particular just explodes into hypervisibility. Hits like Blurred Lines, Get Lucky with Daft Punk, Happy. He became one of the most recognizable artists on the planet.
And while Pharrell became this cultural ambassador, winning Grammys, topping charts, Chad Hugo just stayed the quiet architect, the science. He kept working behind the scenes, with artists like Lizzo contributing to the later N.O.R.E. stuff.
So it seems like Chad just kind of stepped out of the spotlight when Pharrell became this global brand. Was that always the plan, given their spark and science roles, or was there any friction there?
The sources really suggest it was just a natural divergence, It respected their original roles. Pharrell is the face, the energy, the brand. He thrives on that. Chad is the engineer, the master composer who was never really interested in that full-on public glare that Pharrell just naturally commanded.
Which makes sense. And today, Pharrell is... he's a film composer, a fashion icon. He's the men's creative director for Louis Vuitton, and he's still producing for huge artists.
And together, they were finally inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, which was long overdue, and their influence just keeps going. They are the reference point for a whole new generation. Artists who grew up with their sound, like Tyler, The Creator, Steve Lacy, Kate Renata, Rina Sawayama, Doja Cat. The list goes on.
So what does this all mean? The Neptunes didn't just make hits, they invented a sound, an entire sonic language that shaped a generation by proving that taking huge risks and breaking the rules, that could lead you straight to the top.
They managed to be futuristic, minimal, and completely irresistible all at the same time. Pharrell summed it up best. He said, "We just wanted to make music that felt like the future."
And they did. They absolutely did. I think the real takeaway for you, the listener, is how the Neptunes used silence as a core instrument. They proved that negative space, what's not there, can be just as powerful and just as catchy as a dense, complex arrangement. Their most enduring legacy is showing everyone that real innovation can mean making minimalism the new maximalism.